Liberalism. Liberalism is like a big umbrella that values individual freedom as its main goal. Think of it as a belief that each person should have the liberty to think, speak, and act as they wish, as long as they don't harm others. Liberals advocate for democracy, where leaders are chosen by the people, and for a market economy, where businesses compete fairly but are regulated to prevent abuses. They support the idea that governments should protect human rights, such as freedom of speech and religion. Liberals often emphasize the importance of equal opportunities for all, which can include support for education, healthcare, and welfare programs to help those in need. Conservatism. Conservatism is like a reverence for the past and a cautious approach to change. Conservatives value tradition and often see it as a guide for living a good life. They believe in maintaining social order and often prefer the way things have been done historically. Economically, conservatives tend to favor less government intervention, believing that a free market will naturally bring about prosperity and that too much government can hinder economic growth. They often emphasize personal responsibility and think that individuals should take care of their own needs rather than rely on government support. Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love. Socialism. Socialism is centered on the idea that the community, rather than individuals, should own and control the economy. Imagine a society where big factories, farms, and offices are collectively owned and managed by the workers or the government on behalf of the people. The wealth produced is distributed more evenly among everyone, aiming to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. Socialists argue that this is fairer and more just than capitalism, where a few people can own a lot and many can own very little. They often advocate for free healthcare, education, and other services to ensure everyone has a basic standard of living. Communism. Communism takes the ideas of socialism to their farthest point. It envisions a world without any class divisions, where there's no need for governments or countries as we know them. In this ideology, everything is owned by the community as a whole, and each person contributes according to their abilities and receives according to their needs. The idea is to eliminate all forms of inequality, not just in wealth, but in power and social status too. However, in practice, countries that have tried to create communist societies often ended up with powerful authoritarian governments and widespread poverty. Fascism. Fascism is a system that combines a very strong sense of national pride with an authoritarian government. It is like a strict parent who believes in tough love and doesn't tolerate disobedience. Fascists believe that their nation and race are superior, and that strong leadership is necessary to achieve greatness. They often rely on military power and the suppression of opposition to maintain control. The government controls the economy, media, and other aspects of society to advance its goals. Fascism has led to some of the darkest periods in history, including the regime of Nazi Germany. Libertarianism. Libertarianism is like the belief in ultimate personal freedom. Libertarians argue that everyone should be free to do as they please, as long as they don't harm others. They want a government that's like a night watchman, only there to protect people from violence and theft, but otherwise stays out of people's business. They believe that a free market without government interference can best determine how resources are distributed. This ideology values individual choice and responsibility over collective action or government programs. Anarchism. Anarchism is the radical idea that society doesn't need any form of government or authority at all. Anarchists believe that people can organize themselves and live harmoniously without being told what to do by leaders or laws. They see the government as a source of oppression that exists to control and exploit people, Anarchists advocate for a society where voluntary associations and cooperative living replace hierarchical systems of power. This ideology is diverse, with many different strands, but all anarchists share a skepticism about authority and a belief in the potential for people to live peacefully without it. Environmentalism. Environmentalism is a movement that looks at the world and sees the vital need to protect our natural environment. It's the understanding that our air, water, and land are precious and must be preserved for the health and survival of all life. Environmentalists work to combat pollution, conserve natural resources, and prevent the destruction of ecosystems. They push for laws and policies that reduce our impact on the planet and promote sustainable living. This ideology often intersects with others, as the quest to protect the environment can involve issues of social justice, economics, and governance. Nationalism. Nationalism is a strong feeling of pride and loyalty towards one's country. Nationalists believe that their country's interests should come first. This ideology can bring people together with a shared sense of identity and purpose. However, it can also lead to an us versus them mentality, where people from other countries or immigrants are seen as a threat to the nation's unity and prosperity. Nationalism can drive a country to assert its sovereignty, sometimes even through conflict or by closing itself off from international cooperation. Feminism. Feminism is the quest for equal rights and opportunities for women. It's the recognition that historically, women have been disadvantaged in many areas of life, including politics, work, and society at large. Feminists work to dismantle the barriers, like discrimination, cultural stereotypes, and legal inequalities, that prevent women from living as equals to men. Over time, this movement has expanded to include a wide range of issues related to gender identity, sexual orientation, and intersectionality, which considers how different aspects of a person's identity can expose them to overlapping forms of discrimination. Populism. Populism is like the voice of the common people against the elite. Populists claim to represent the average person, often criticizing the establishment or the ruling class for being out of touch with the needs of the ordinary citizen. This ideology can take various forms and exist across the political spectrum, from left-wing to right-wing. Populists often aim to disrupt the status quo and can be seen as champions of the people, but critics argue they can oversimplify complex issues and undermine democratic institutions. Progressivism. Progressivism is about moving forward and making progress towards a better society. Progressives believe in making changes and reforms to address social injustices, economic inequalities, and political issues. They advocate for things like civil rights, environmental protection, and healthcare reform, arguing that governments should play an active role in solving societal problems. Progressivism is about looking ahead and finding ways to improve the well-being of all citizens, especially those who may be marginalized or disadvantaged. Marxism. Marxism is like looking at the world as an ongoing struggle between the rich and the poor. It's named after Karl Marx, who saw history as a series of conflicts between those who have and those who have not. Marxists believe that the working class, the have-nots, will eventually rise up against the wealthy haves and create a society where everything is shared, no one owns private property, and everyone works for the common good. It's like everyone contributing to a giant potluck dinner where all the food is shared equally. Marxists dream of a world without social classes, where everyone is truly equal and the community makes decisions for the benefit of everyone. Capitalism. Capitalism is like a giant market where everyone can set up their own shop. In this system, if you have something to sell, whether it's your time, skills, or products, others can buy it. The shopkeepers, which can be individuals or companies, are free to make as much money as they can, and they own what they earn. Success depends on offering what people want at a price they're willing to pay. In pure capitalism, the government doesn't hand out help or interfere much. It's like a race where the fastest runners win the biggest trophies, and everyone runs at their own pace. The idea is that this competition makes the whole market better and leads to innovation and progress. Monarchism. Monarchists argue that having a single stable figurehead can unite a nation and represent its history and culture. They believe a monarchy can be a stable pillar in turbulent political times, a symbol that can remind people of their nation's past and guide its future. The power of these kings and queens can vary, a purely ceremonial ribbon cutter in some places, or a powerful ruler in others.